and I call it the most beautiful melody in the world. Why? Because we are going to find the most beautiful melody in the world together. Well, maybe not the single one, but the single, 10 or 12,000, let's say, because we have lots of time to do this. And I think this is just going to be a blast. I really do. You know, the famous Supreme Court justice, I forget who it was, when he was writing about pornography, said, you know, I may not be able to define it, but I recognize it when I see it. Something like that. What was he talking about? James Joyce, I think, wasn't he? I don't know. About prurient interest and things like that. Well, this is melodic interest. Nobody knows what makes a great tune. They just don't. They are unanalyzable. You can take them apart melodically. You can talk about intervallic relationships and harmonic subtleties and sophistication of phrase rhythm, and you can just go into it endlessly. But it's all nonsense. Two tunes may have exactly the same thing, and with one note, you have a melody of genius, and the other one is just trite and miserable. And there's no way to tell. I mean, part of it is, of course, because the reaction to melody is an individual one. Everybody has a different definition of what constitutes a great tune. I mean, I have friends of mine who sit down there and ooh and ah at things, and I just scratch my head and go, oh, gee whiz, what the heck? They must be crazy. And I'm sure you'll feel the same way about me. You may already, if you don't already. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, one of the great mysteries of music, one of the things that gives music its mysterious allure, its quasi-mystical, spiritual, hypnotic quality, is the fact that you cannot define what makes a tune, what makes a tune great, what makes it delectable, irresistible, and so compelling. It's just a fabulous thing. And I'm not even going to try. I don't think there's any point. I really don't. It either hits you or it doesn't hit you. And the great melodies are the ones that I think hit the most people. I mean, I know somebody who just adores the slow movement or whatever it is of Schoenberg's Violin Concerto. But if I played that for most people, 99% of them would not rank that tune as one of the most beautiful melodies in the world. Whereas something like the 18th variation from Rachmaninoff's Paganini Rhapsody, oh yeah, you get a lot of people. Or something by Tchaikovsky. I mean, you know, the big thing from Swan Lake. I mean, holy cow. There's no question that those are among the greatest tunes in the world. And so I am going to start. I'm going to play a piece, an entire piece actually, 4 minutes worth of it, as my initial proposal for the greatest melody in the world. And I'll explain why I feel that's true. And then what I would like you guys to do is to give me your suggestions. Just let it rip. I only have a couple of ground rules. And that's this. One suggestion per person, just one. You've got to pick the one. Now, as we do more of these chats and we listen to more and more music, you can always resubmit your suggestion. I'm not saying that you can only do it once, and I can't police it anyway, so what's the point? But when you respond, if you respond, make one suggestion. That is one tune that just melts you into a puddle of simpering primal idiocy. I mean it. That just reduces you to a quivering lump. That's what I want. That tune. I will then go through the list and I will play them one at a time in succeeding chats. I can't guarantee I'm going to pick yours. I'll get to pick them. So you got to be smart about it. Not trying to anticipate what I like, because I'm deliberately not going to pick things that I would pick. And so I have no idea what you're going to do. But accompanying your choice, I want you to write one pithy, and I mean pithy, grammatically correct paragraph explaining to me why you feel the way you do, that I could read, and include your name, your real name. Of course, I can't tell you if it's real or not. It can just be a first name, just like Fred. That's okay. I don't mean your whole name and address and personal ID information and bank account number and all that stuff. I don't mean any of that. I mean, I want these responses to be heartfelt, sincere replies from real people. You know, not like you. I see all these people in the comments, you know, from Toadstool 3. If Toadstool 3 picks his greatest melody, even if I think Toadstool 3 is fabulous, I ain't going for it, because there's no way I am going to say this is the selection of Toadstool 3. That kind of debases the whole process, wouldn't you say? So that's going to be the game. And I really want to do this like forever, because we know that there are an unlimited number of tunes and an unlimited number of pieces. Naturally, I kind of gravitate towards the less familiar stuff. That's me. But I don't want you to feel the same way. If you think the greatest tune in the world is the opening of Tchaikovsky's First Piano Concerto, say so. Be completely, totally honest about it, because if it strikes you, then it strikes you. You can't pretend otherwise. I want this to be a totally honest process. And, you know, as interesting as it is to hear melodies that we may not have paid attention to or don't know or might not have heard before, the fact of the matter is some of the greatest pieces of music got that way because they have the greatest tunes in the world, right? And also, it's always wonderful to listen to something familiar afresh, to just focus on it and talk about it, because it's going to be my job to try and say something quasi-intelligent about your choice. So, you know, I may disagree with you. I may be very honest about the fact that I disagree, but I'm still going to have to talk about it intelligently and try and get to the essence of what may be behind the selection, not knowing anything, but I will read your paragraph. I warn you, it is going to be read to the public at large, and the universe is going to know why you chose the tune you chose. So be prepared. I just am really looking forward to this, because one of the things I find in my own, you know, peregrinations through the classical music universe is that, you know, all's not... There, you see, wasn't that profound? No, here's what I meant to say. All's not false that's taught in the public schools. In other words, these great tunes are indisputably great, and people have loved them for sometimes centuries, and nobody knows why. It's just I think that's the most wonderful thing about music that there is. You can make all of the rational arguments you want and substitute all of the analysis you want, but at the end of the day, it's always going to come down to your personal reaction, and nobody can describe why it is what it is or tell you you're wrong to feel what you feel. I can tell you you're wrong to say such and such a performance is a great performance when I think it sucks, and I can demonstrate through factual evidence that all kinds of awful things happen. You can still like it, but I can demonstrate that it isn't great. But when it comes to just picking a tune, it's absolutely an impressionistic fog, and it's that fog that I want to celebrate, because we ain't going to penetrate the fog. All we can do is take joy in the fact. So let me get to my selection. My selection is the Romanza from Dvorak's Czech Suite. Now, the Czech Suite is, by most accounts, a piece of minor Dvorak, but it contains more fantastic tunes in it than a lot of great music by other composers. You know, Mahler said of Dvorak's Wind Serenade that piece had more music in it than major works by other composers. And I think the same is true with the Czech Suite. And this Romanza is, I just think, one of the most beautiful melodies in the world. And I have to play you the whole piece. It's about 4 minutes long, because you have to hear what Dvorak does with it, how the music proceeds, how he throws out this tune, goes on to other things, how and when he brings it back, how he brings back bits of it, how it changes when it comes back, how it's exquisitely scored for flute and dialogue with the English horn, how he uses the strings, the poetic entrance of the horn at the end. I mean, I could keep going with this huge list of all of the things that make this so beautiful. There's also the modal inflection. There are times when it sounds almost like a melody, perhaps by Sibelius, something a little bit later. It has that haunting modal quality that gives it a timelessness, an absolutely serene beauty it's to me just incredible. And the first time I heard it, it got under my skin, and it has been there ever since. But I don't want you to limit yourself to slow tunes. This one happens to be. There are also quick ones, and some of those are just as marvelous. So let your imagination run riot. Be completely honest, and while you're thinking, I want you to listen to this incredibly beautiful performance of the Romanza from Dvorak's Czech Suite. This is featuring Anthony Witt and the Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra on Naxos. I just think it's one of the most beautiful melodies in the world. Listen to this.